Well, yeah. I'm loving Dollywood. Oh, yeah, food's great. Yeah, good, real good. Want to make a freight train take a dirt road? Yeah, is that good? I had one little problem though, Sadie. Yeah. Judy sent me up to the chicken house and I lost my gum. Thought I found it 3 different times. Woo! Wait a minute, Sadie, I gotta do something. Hang on. Well, hey everybody, I'm Speck Rhodes, and I want to welcome you to Dolly's tribute to Porter Wagoner, featuring the one and only wagon master himself, Mr. Warden. So y'all just sit back, kick off your shoes. You've been at Dollywood all day, haven't you? Sit back, put on your shoes, and welcome the Sevier County songbird herself, Miss Dolly Parton.
Back, and of course we all miss him, and I can honestly say that when we lost Porter, for me it was like losing a piece of my own heart, because Porter gave me my first big break in the country music business back in the mid-60s when he put me on his TV show. He had the #1 syndicated country show in the country, and I still think it was the best that there ever was. Of course, we had lots of duets. We traveled all over the country with our road show and working with the wagon masters, which we had a great time. Of course, I made up my own version Of course, Don and Porter were very dear friends, so I'm going to honor Don today as well as Porter, because that's exactly what Porter would want me to do. And I could have never done what I've done without Don. And Porter was managed by Don all those years. And Don, I just want to say thank you and to let you know that we love you. Missouri. And of course, when I went out on my own, Porter sent Don with me, and Don managed me and for several years. And even when he wasn't managing me, he was my road manager after that. But I still go to Don for advice, even though I'm paying other people to manage me now. Don still knows more than they do. And of course, that's true. It's the truth, ain't it? I'll worry him to death. But anyhow, Don also brought his beautiful wife Ann into my life. Of course, Don calls her Lois Ann. That's what I call her. That's what they call her back home in Missouri. And of course, she's been my friend from day one. And she not only is beautiful, but she's also enormously talented. And she's decorated all my buses, Porter's too, and several of my houses. And she also created the little Dolly doll that they still sell here on the park. And of course, she's been there to support Don, Porter, and me. And I would just like to, where is Aunt Warden? There you are, stand up, let me see you. Don's better have right there. And of course, you also, I think, you brought your kids with you, didn't you? Didn't you bring Don's boy, Charlie? Yeah? I think so. Anyhow, we want to thank you and acknowledge Charlie and his wife Cheryl and Courtney and Chase, Don's and Ann's grandkids. So anyhow, Don, I got something while I'm here before we get on to the Porter stuff. I just thought that I wanted to give you something since you were an angel in my life and in Porter's. And since Porter's flying around up yonder looking down on all this, Porter thought you were great. present you something personally, since this is the first time I have been on stage with Don Warden in 34 years since I left Porter's show. I guess the last Porter Dolly show, Don's still singing. So you can only imagine, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. When I hear Don's voice and hear that steel playing, it's just my whole life just flashes before me. It's like the most amazing thing. So since you are my #1 earth angel, I have something I want to present to you. So Steve, you'll bring that out here and you can wheel it back out after Don sees it. Come here, Don. This is for you, and it's a token of my love and respect and admiration. So, on April the 12th, 2008. So I just don't think people know, how special you are. So now they do. And thank you. Take this off with you and save it for Ron. Do that one now, since you have worn both of your arms today. Okay, let's get it. The old hometown looks the same as I step down. To touch the green, green grass of home. Yes, they'll all come to meet me, arms reaching, smiling sweetly. It's so good to touch the green, green grass of home. The old house is still standing, though the paint is cracked and dry, and there's that old oak tree that I used to play on. Down the lane I walk with my sweet Mary, hair of gold and lips like cherries. It's good to touch the green, green grass of home. Then I surround me. Then I realized I was only dreaming. For there's a guard, and there's that sad old padre. Arm in arm, we'll walk at daybreak, when again I'll touch the green, green grass of home. Yes,
it's just my pleasure to be up here, but did you ever know here that money talked?
I have heard that money talks, but I never heard it.
Well, I heard money talk this morning. Do you want to hear what they had to say?
I'd like to, Spec.
Well, Dolly, a $20 bill and a $1 bill were talking to each other. And the $1 bill said to the $20 bill, he said, $20 bill, where have you been? The $20 bill said, oh, Lord, I've been everywhere. I've been to the casino, I've been to the Caribbean, I've been over to the Europe and back, I've been to a baseball game, and last night we went out to dinner. And he said, $1 bill, what have you been up to? $1 bill said, same old thing, church, church, church.
That's not a joke, that's the truth.
I know, but you know, Dolly, I got one more thing I need to ask you about. schedule around because you hurt your back from carrying your puppies. And you know what? I thought, I didn't know you had puppies. And then I thought, what is a woman like Dolly Parton carrying her own puppies for? So I got an idea. I'll carry your puppies. So they'll be real show dogs.
They are show dogs.
I'll be waiting right after, so you just bring those puppies to me backstage.
But I'm sure you know what he's talking about, right? Because when I'd hurt my back a few weeks ago, actually a couple of months ago now, and it was in the press that I'd had to move some shows around, and I just said, that I'd hurt my back, and I said something to the effect of, well, hey, you try wagging these puppies around and see if you don't have back trouble. So that's what he's let off of. But just so you know, I'm fine now, and I just pulled my back, and it was nothing major, and they did have it in the tabloids where it said that, my boobs were so big that I'd hurt my back, and I couldn't carry her or something like that. But I just want you to know that it was my lower back, and I could think my butt is that big now, is it? It used to be, but anyhow, I didn't know what Spade was going to do, but you can tell he never watched the show because he had the wrong teeth blacked out, didn't he? So that'd been down in your front teeth, because I remember Don too, because he wore his little partial plate, and just before the show he'd take them out, and I'd see him laying back on the dressing room table. And that's a sweet memory too. Of course, we had so much fun doing the Wagoner show, but Lord have mercy, it was back in those days when we had to do our own commercials. Remember that, Don? Oh, and we were sponsored by the Chattanooga Medicine Company. You remember, don't you? They had a product called Black Drought, and that was a laxative. Yeah, and it had a song too. And do you remember how that went? It's like, smile, smile from the inside out, smile from the inside out. Black Drought makes you smile from the inside out. Oh, and that's doing beautiful harmony. Let's do it again. You want to say this stuff? Smile from the inside out, smile from the inside out. Black Drought makes you smile from the inside out. Like we had to do it again. You know what was even worse than that? I had to do the other one. We were also sponsored by a product that was called Card UI. Now that was like what my dog is for that woman's time of the month, and I almost quit the show when Porter told me that I was going to have to do that. I said, I can't do that. I was very shy. He was like, I have to hold that up and say stuff like, it's for you, for that time of the month. And it was a good thing that we were still in black and white because my face was big red. But that's how you had to do it. And then, of course, you remember all the Breeze towels that Porter and I did? Well, we were sponsored by Breeze Detergent. It was, I don't remember what was it Lever Brothers or whatever, Procter Gamble on it. Anyway, it was one of those people that made dish or washing powder. And you'd get a free towel or a free wash rag depending on what size box you got. And then me and Porter would have to do it, and he'd pull out the towel, and I'd say, oh, Porter, you brought me flowers. Any of you people remember that? Some of you around here does. So it was kind of like a running joke with Porter and me. Anytime through the years, Porter would send me flowers for something I had won or a special occasion. He'd send me flowers, and I'd always call him back saying, oh, Porter, you sent me flowers. So, but anyhow, those were the good old days, and I never will forget it, and I wouldn't have missed my life with Porter. We used to fight like cats and dogs. We were both stubborn as mules. I thought I knew what was right, and Porter was sure he did. Right, kids? others, and just kind of to them. You ready, folks? Carroll County's pointed out as kind of square. The biggest thing that happens is the county fair. And I guess that's why it seemed like such a big event. But we all call Carroll County accident. The wreck was on the highway just inside the line. Walked around and lost his life and all the time. It seemed that Mary Ellen Jones was sure to die, but she lived long enough for her to testify. Now Walter Browning was a happy man, and he wore a golden wedding band upon his hand. But it was gone, nobody knew just where it went. He lost it in the Carroll County accident. Mary Ellen testified, he flagged her down. Said he was sick and could she drive him into town. And no one even doubted what she said was true, 'cause she was well respected in the county too. Now I went down to see the wreck like all the rest. Bloody seats, the broken glass, the tangled mess. But I found something no one else had even seen behind the dash of Mary's crumpled up machine. A little matchbox circled by a rubber band, and inside the ring, Walter Browning's hand. It took a while to figure out just what it meant. The truth about the Carroll County accident. 5 o'clock at night, I dropped the ring into a well, and took a solemn oath that I would never tell the truth about the Carroll County accident. 'Cause the county ordered down a marble monument. I lost it in the Carroll County accident. Song. That's a song that that we might could have a hit record on. And Dorothy Jo said, "Well, it'd be a really good song for you and Porter to sing." I said, "You're right, it would, because we like doing a lot of gospel type things." So I took it in and played it for Porter, and he just loved it. And he thought that it probably would be a big hit for us, and it was. It's one of my favorite songs that I ever did with Porter. So it's special because of Porter and because of my grandpa. And do you remember Daddy was an old-time preacher man? Well, if you know it, you can sing along with us. You want to do it? Okay. Daddy was an old-time preacher man. He preached the word of God from loud land. He preached the plain a child could understand. Yes, Daddy was an old-time preacher man. He told the people of their need to pray. He talked about God's wrath he was sitting behind his desk, and I was sitting in a chair out front, and tears were coming down his face. And after I finished the song, he said, "Okay, you can go." He said, "But only if you're going to let me produce that record, because that's one of the best songs you've ever wrote." So anyway, Porter did produce it, and it was after that that everything went well, and we were good friends for many, many years. Well, we always were good friends. I'm going to say we were just stubborn. And anyhow, we talked about it, Porter's kids. They wished that I could have sung it at the funeral, but we didn't think it was appropriate, and I never got through it. But I want to do it today, and I want to dedicate it to Porter's memory, and especially to his kids. And again, God bless you, and thank you. And I hope you'll enjoy this song straight from the bottom of my country's grateful heart. Don't you cry.